Hi fashion lovers, you're welcome to another tutorial. In today's edition, we are going to be learning how to make senator wears for children. Yes, you heard me right. So I tried this out and I loved the outcome. So if this is what you find of any interest, kindly watch this video to the end. So in this tutorial, I used an Isiagu material. Yes, I used an Isiagu material and this is what I'm having. So to start with, we're going to mark the measurement that we are going to be using. So you go ahead to take the measurement that you have plus extra 2 inches allowance. Do you get? So you have to take your measurements, then extra 2 inches. So I'll be displaying the measurement I used on this. I'll be displaying the measurement I used on the screen plus the extra 2 inches. So now I'm going further to mark the length. So I was supposed to work with a length of 20 inches, but then I added extra 2 inches for hemming allowance. So I've gone ahead to cut it. This is 22 inches all in all. So I'll go ahead to trim off the excess that I have there because it is not that straight. So I'll straighten up the lines and this is what I have, guys. All right, after now, I'll still recalculate the length to make sure that it is equal. Then when folding your Isiagu, you have to make sure that head area is at the top. That's the head of the animal, or whenever you're using any animated fabric, you have to make sure that the head of the animal is positioned up where the head of the person is supposed to be, so that it is not going to be upside down. I don't know if you understand. So I'll go ahead to mark my shoulder. My shoulder measurement is 6.5. That's 13 inches divided by 2. 6.5. It's supposed to be 12, but I added extra half of an inch. Do you get? So from there now, I'll come down for the armhole. I'll still make use of that 6.5 for the armhole because this is a child's dress. This cloth now is for a toddler. Do you understand? So I'll still go further to mark that 6.5 for the armhole. Then I'll mark the armhole again so I can straighten up the line at that part. Sorry, I'll mark the shoulder again so I can straighten up the line at that area. Then I'll connect it into a straight line. Do you understand? So from this part now, I will come down with 1.5 inches for shoulder slope. Yes, I'm going to be coming down with 1.5 inches for the shoulder slope. This is because this is a senator wear. Like, it's not a regular cloth that we used to sew. Do you understand? So this is my first time actually trying this and I love the outcome. So I'll go ahead and cut that shoulder slant that I have. So we are almost getting to the perfect area. Now I'll now bring in the back. So the back is longer than the front, definitely. So the back is longer than the front with 3 inches, but I added extra half an inch for sewing allowance to join it at the shoulder area. So after now, I'll go ahead and make sure that the back is longer with 3 inches. So I'm going to be showing you how to achieve that. I'm trying to adjust my measurements. So 3.5 inches, 3.5. I'll measure 3.5 inches from the front area and from one side of the front to the other side of the front. You understand? From the neckline, the neck area to the armhole area. So the reason why it is going to be longer is because it is going to be overlapping at the front area. So this is me now marking my 3.5 inches all round. So after marking it, automatically whatever I'm having left at that shoulder area for the back is going to be the shoulder slope. Do you understand? So I'm going to connect the lines now. So automatically I have marked out my shoulder slope. Do you get? So that 3.5 inches you can use 3 inches, you can use 2 inches depending on your preference. But me, I wanted mine to be higher with 3.5 inches. So from the front area, I'll mark half of an inch like this, just like I'll come in by half of an inch like you see me do. This half of an inch now is where that back area is going to be overlapping. So I'll mark it into a straight line. So the back will be overlapping on this half inch like this because half inch will be used to join the shoulder of the front and the back together. So this is what you see me do now. I will overlap it up like so. So I'll get my pins and I'll pin them down. If you have your iron, you can iron it to be smooth. But I wasn't having power supply at this point, so I had to use my pins to pin it down. Do you understand? So that is what you see me do. I'll pin it down, and after pinning it down like so, we'll now go ahead to take our measurements. So from here now, I'll still continue with my shoulder measurements, divide by 2, and that is exactly what I'm having there. So just the same thing that we have already done. So I'll come in by half of an inch at the armhole area. First of all, I'll mark the midpoint of that armhole. After I mark the midpoint, from there now I'll come in by half of an inch. Do you understand? So I'll come in by half of an inch at that midpoint area, and I'll now curve. So just watch closely. You see me, I'm coming in now by half of an inch at that part, and then I'll now connect it just like the normal way we cut female wears, coming in by half of an inch at the front. But the difference between this one and the one we normally know is that this one now is coming in for the half of an inch for both the back and the front. The regular one we know for female wear is only for the front, right? But this one now, I'm coming in by half of an inch for both the front and the back. So after that, I'll curve the armhole. I'll take the armhole curve. Then I'm taking my measurements. I'm working with the measurement of 8 plus half of an inch, supposed to be 7. So I used 1 inch for seam allowance. Do you get? So that is now giving me 8. Now I'll mark the waist area. For the waist, I'll be using 7 or 7.5. Do you get? For the waist area, I use 7.5. Then for the hip area, for the down area, I came up by 2 inches. Then from there, I will now mark 5 inches. This 5 inches is that opening that is you always see at the down area of senator wears. Do you understand? So that first 2 inches I came up with is the hemming allowance that we added. Please don't forget. So at this point, at this area now, I'll still mark my 8 inches because the bust and the chest area and the hip area of children, they are always the same. Do you understand? So I'll now mark my 2 inches all around and I'll connect it down. This 2 inches now is for the hemming allowance. That fold in, that's the folding that you see in senator wears. These things are not just difficult. It's just that if you have been a female tailor or a female designer, sometimes we find it difficult, especially me. I don't know if it happens to any other person. Sometimes we find it difficult to sew male clothes, thinking that it is difficult, but it is not. The male designs, sewing male clothes is the most easiest. Now we are going to move further to the neck. For the neck, I came down by 3 inches, mind you, with the back neck folded 3 inches down. Then the neck width is going to be 1.5 inches. Do you understand? The 1.5 inches for the neck width, then 3 inches for the neck length, the neck depth. Do you get? So the total round neck I'm working with is 12 inches. Now to get these 12 inches now, we are going to be dividing it by 2. Do you understand? The total, you have to measure your son's or the child you're working with. You measure his round neck, his or her, because this can be used for even a female senator too. A female child, it's just for children. Do you get? So you measure the neck. So the round neck I'm working with is 12 inches. Now we are going to be achieving that 12 inches after we are finished curving. So just watch closely how I am connecting the curves. So from here now, we now want to mark that 12 inches neck. So when we divide by 2, it's going to be giving us 6 inches, right? So I will now take my tape like this in this manner. Do you see that we're having exactly 6 inches? So this is up for the neck. I don't know if you understand what I did. So from that curve, you mark it, and then you are supposed to get you're supposed to get your neck round divide by 2. So just watch closely how I'm cutting it. You don't cut the front neck and the back neck together. You first of all cut out the back neck, and then you now trace it out to cut the front neck. If you go to cut the back neck and the front neck together, you're going to be making a very big mistake, and probably you might not have another piece of fabric to replace it. So this is what I did now. So if actually you don't understand this part, please, you can go ahead and rewind it so that you get it very accurate. Now I'm done with the neck side. I'm going further to mark out the armhole. Okay, guys. So go ahead and cut off the armhole, and that is what you see me do like so. So after cutting, I'll now cut off the shape, the shaping of the dress. So mind you, I added 1 inch seam allowance. It depends on your preference. Now this is where the cutting is going to stop. So from here now, this part now is the seam allowance for the hemming. That's for that folding that we used to see in senator wears. That's that other part now that I'm not trying to trim off. I don't know if you understand. So, but what if just now you should understand, because we all have senator wears at home. So when I cut it out, this is what I have. So this is what the outcome is looking like. You see that part I told you that when you finish stitching and then you fold it in, you're going to be getting exactly what you want. So this is for the back and this is for the front. So originally the front neckline, the front neck is always smaller, but when you finish sewing it and you join it up with the shoulder, that neck shoulder that lapped on the front will now make the front neck to be more wide. So moving further, we'll now bring the front piece and still come in by another 1/2 of an inch around the armhole area. Then we'll now cut it out. You see the difference between male wears and female wears. So I came in by another 1/2 of an inch from the armhole side, from the midpoint. Then I'll still go ahead and trim this off. Do you understand? So that is that for the front armhole. Now the dress is having its form. So for the center front, we are going to be having a placket, and the placket should be around 8 to 9 inches. But for the placket, for the neck opening, mind you that the neck depth is too small. So we are going to be having a neck opening of 5 inches. So for now, I'll mark the length of the placket. So I used 9 inches. I later reduced it to 8. Then I mark 5 inches. This 5 inches now is what I'm going to be slitting open for the head to fit in. Do you understand? So 5 inches is okay. 5 inches is just on the maximum. You can do 4, you can do 4.5, depending on how old the baby you're working for is. So I've gone ahead to open that. Now I went off camera and I cut a basic sleeve. Now go ahead and place it on the fabric to cut it out. Now I'm adding the seam allowance, and I added extra 1.5 inches for the seam allowance because I wanted it to have this border at the sleeve round area. That's why I used 1.5. If I had enough fabric, I would have even gone for 2 inches. Do you get, for the seam, for the folding allowance? But I just use 1.5. So I'll go ahead and notch what I have, and I'll place that first sleeve on the second one. Remember what I told you, that the head of this animal should be facing the upper side of the body. So the armhole area, you see how I place it now? The armhole area and the Isiagu, the head of this animal now, is at the top. So when the child wears it, the head of the animal is lying straight, like it's normal, as if the animal is standing on the person. So for this now, I've gone ahead to iron. I used a gum stay. So I used the gum stay to put at the seam allowances area so that when I stitch on it, it will be firm. So I'll just go ahead and top stitch it like that. So this is for the placket. I cut a 9-inch length. So the placket is measuring 9 inches in length and 1.5 inches by width, and it is on fold. So I've already gone ahead to iron in the 2 sides. I ironed it up with 1/2 inch. So I'll go ahead and join all the pieces together, and this is what we are having. So this video was actually made, I think, 1 hour to the time that my son had to go for the occasion. They had a cultural day in school, and I had to rush this sewing. I didn't even know I could come up with this. So this is the final outcome, and I am really, really loving what I had. Yes, so this is what we are having, guys. All right, here comes the end of this tutorial. If you have watched to this far, if you have watched this point, kindly subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share. Also, give me a comment in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on this outfit because this is my first try. Bye. See you in my next video.